Hey everyone, a couple of weeks ago, I showcased this vibe-coded Final Fantasy Tactics inspired game. And one of the most frequent questions that I got was, how do you go about creating isometric sprites like this? And can you do it using AI tools? So in past week, I've been looking into how we can actually create our own isometric sprites that match this Final Fantasy Tactics style that you see over here. And I think I found a workflow that works very well. And you don't need to make use of any other external tool to get results like this. I managed to get to this stage using Google's Nano Banana tool. So in today's video, I will show you step by step how I start off with a single reference image, and I'll show you all the prompts and the workflows that I use to then be able to get isometric sprites that match this Final Fantasy Tactics style. And furthermore, I'll also show you how I've managed to get this animated into a walk cycle so that you can put it within your game. And you definitely want to stick around through the entire video because I'll be walking through how I created isometric sprites for this entire new character. I'll be using the Codex app, and you can see all of the different skills that I've been working on that I've been finding very useful whenever you're trying to vibe code games. So if you ever wanted to learn how to create game assets for your games, especially in the style that you see over here, this video is for you. The skills, and sometimes even the full source code of what I'm doing, you definitely want to check out my AI-oriented Insiders Club. It's completely free to join. I do provide things like the skills that I use, the plans, the prompts, and everything that accompanies the video as well. But if you want to take things a step further, I've created gamedev.com. Within it, I release exclusive content for members, and this includes the full suite of agent skills that I've been using in order to vibe code games. As you can see over here for today's video, everything related to image generation and video generation has now been added as skills in the vault. Furthermore, there are some exclusive projects that you can get not only the skills, but the full source code of the apps that I'm working on. So this provides you with a good solid foundation if you wanted to start off with a working project, remix it, or extend it with your very own features and call it your own. I just launched gamedev.com last week, and there are limited spots left at the launch discount. So if you're interested and want to get hold of all of this, check out the link in the description below. All right, so let's get started with today's video. And one thing to always remind you is that even though I use Codex heavily, as you will see over here, as part of my workflow, I also make use of Codex CLI within tmux. The takeaway here is that all of these workflows and skills will work for any of your favorite tools, whether it's Claude, Codex, Cursor, or Anti-Gravity. And the reason for that is that if you actually look at the skills that I built over here, all of these that I make, I always do it for both Claude as well as the agents.md standard format. So these will always work throughout. And the reason why I do this is that I usually, whenever I make my skills, I create both a Claude version as well as an agents.md version. Just waiting for the day where Anthropic actually just adopts the same standard, and then we don't have to duplicate this. So step one is always just start out with a reference image. Now this can be any image that you want. If you watched my previous video, I generated this using GPT image 1.5. And all I did at that time was I just generated a bunch of mockups for the game that I've been trying to make. And then I just said, based on this mockup, look at this pirate character and give me a platformer version of it. And then I downscaled it to match the game resolution that I was working on. But today we'll be using this high resolution version because I think this provides a much better basis as our reference image. Okay, so once you've got your reference image, this is the exact prompt that I use. But what I did is that it's very simple. I just said, use the provided side view pirate as the design reference, not as a pose template. And the reason why not to use it as a pose template is because I don't want them to think that this is my style that I want. It's just that it's looking easy. I want them to create a Final Fantasy Tactics style metric sprite. But I want to preserve the character identity. So the bandana, the readable human face, the blue tunic, etc., needs to be facing southeast, right, on an isometric map. And then you will see down here, I added something called solid chroma key green. And I'll explain what this is. But the reason why you want this is because when you're dealing with Nano Banana 2, they do not deal with transparency. And I'll show you what I mean very shortly. But effectively with this prompt, and I do have an GPT image 1.5 skill that I have over here, and you can create this yourself. All you need to do is just use the skill creator, give it the GPT image 1.5 docs, and just ask it to create a GPT image 1.5 skill. I've honed my one, iterating on it for several weeks now, so it works very well for what I'm looking for. I also created a new file.ai image generator. If you're not familiar with file.ai, it's effectively a site and service that allows you to make use of any of the image generation or video generation model using a single API. And this makes it very easy whenever I'm working on doing experiments, comparing different models. And this allows me to very easily just tell codecs to switch between the models, all right? So that's what my Ethel AI skill does. And same thing, you can effectively just pass in the API documents into your favorite coding tool, ask it to create a skill. You'll get something very similar to what I have over here. But these ones, like I said, I usually iterate on it as I learn, as I encounter bugs and make improvements. And these are all part of gamedev.com. And back to it, with this prompt, I pass this into both GPT Image 1.5 as well as Nano Banana 2. And I actually preferred this one because it matches the fidelity of what I wanted. And this is just my preference. I thought I would like to try to explore doing this more. Now, the problem, you can see this bright green background. And the reason for that is exactly why I specified the chroma key green here. Okay. Without this, what Nano Banana will do is create a fake transparent background, right? Like it looks like what you will see in, in your image editor apps of having transparency. Like this is not really fake. This is not really transparent. It's actually an image of fake transparency. Okay, so this is really important. You want to specify when you're using Nano Banana 2 and many of the other models, use a flat solid chroma key. And you can just use like one of these maximum hex values, which is green. And the reason why green works very well is because green screens tends to not bleed into your image. If you use something like purple, which sometimes you can come across as well, because you have a red hat and like slightly brownish shoes, sometimes it can bleed into your image and you want to avoid that. So this works very well for me, especially for Nano Banana 2. So you want to keep this. Okay, so with these results, I decided to go with this one over here. Okay, so what I then did as a first attempt, I said, hey, can you just generate all 8 directions for an isometric turnaround sheet? Okay, and then I said I want it to be south, southeast, east, northeast, and then north, northwest, west, and southwest. And to be honest with you, with Nano Banana 2, it gets you pretty far. Okay, well, you can see at the first glance, you'd be like, wow, this is great in one shot at this. But you'll notice a few issues, right? The first thing is that this guy and this guy are the same. This guy and this guy are the same. And yes, this one is south, this is north, this is northeast, this is northwest, but actually like it doesn't have all the directions that you want. So there's several ways that you can go about fixing this. So I'll just show you what I found to work effectively well. And maybe you'll be just saying, like, oh, you know what I'll do is I'll take this and I'll horizontally flip it. And yes, you can do that. But don't forget, if you have a symmetrical pirate, that works well. But if you don't have a symmetrical pirate, you will have problems because, it's not going to look correct. So this is the method that I suggest, and I found that works very well. Okay, so instead of trying to generate all 8 directions at the get-go, what I do is I say, can you just generate the 4 directions? And this one, basically I said, right, in the prompt, create a 4-way isometric facing sheet facing north, east, south, and west. And then I specify the slot order, right? So you can see north, east, south, and west, north, east, south, and west. And then I do specify like what happens in each of these like facings. And this is what I found to actually be better, where you generate the kind of what people call the cardinal direction, which is basically the north, south, east, west ones. And then only after you've gotten this, then you generate the diagonals. Now you will see a couple of problems here. So the first thing that you see here is that this one is not really the same as this. Okay, and I'll show you how to solve this later. But this is effectively where you want to get to. The next thing you do is that you take this anchor image. So this image that you see over here, I usually call it the source or the reference. This image down here, I usually call it something called the anchor. Okay, don't ask me why. It's just something that I came up with together with like Claude and ChatGPT. But effectively, this is the anchor and this is the source. So right now, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to take the anchor and the 4 cardinal sheet, okay? And then I'm going to pass it into my image model, in this case, Nano Banana 2. And then I'm going to say, generate the diagonals based off this anchor and these cardinals over here. And I say, create a single 4-way isometric diagonal facing sheet. And then this is where you can specify, especially if it's not symmetric. So if it's facing northwest or northeast, it needs to have the pouch on the left or whatever. You can do it over here. And what you will then get is that you will get the diagonals working correctly. And you can compare this to what we saw over here, right? Like over here, the diagonals just repeated and just slight changes, and it didn't give you what you want. And so once you have this, all you need to do is then take your 4 cardinals and then your 4 diagonals, and then you just combine it into a single sprite sheet over here. Okay. One thing to point out, what I did in order to solve the problem that we saw over here, I simply just flip this, right? And here's the tip. When you're working with AI tools and doing game development, like you can continuously try to prompt the image models and make it face left, but sometimes it's just much easier to be practical. So I have a Python script that's just simply just flip this. And this is just part of a suite of tools that I have when I'm doing game development. And I'm just going to jump into it over here. So you can see I have this thing called the gamedev assets tools. And this is just something that I've been working on for a long time now. So I'll just show it to you over here. So I have the Codex skill over here, and you can see I have this gamedev asset skills. And you can see this is just something I've been growing for over a long period of time now. It does everything from tile sets, and there's a bunch of utility functions that I found useful whenever I'm doing game dev. Okay, so that's effectively what I did. And then once you've done that, you have this. Okay, and once you have this, that basically gives you all you need to then have a fully ready character that you can put into your game with facing all 8 directions. And the reason why I'm working on this character is because I am intending to release the full source code of this Final Fantasy Tactics inspired game that I've been working on as part of gamedev.com. But because these are all paid assets and the license actually doesn't allow for the distribution of the assets themselves. You should, if you want these assets, go into itch.io and support these sprite artists themselves, because these are really good quality like assets and are really great for building your game. And once you get it, you can actually use it for both free and commercial games. But you can see here, you do not redistribute it. So what you don't want to do is pack this up and then distribute it as well. So in this case, in order for me to release the full source code so that people don't have to download or purchase the things separately, I'm just creating my own isometric assets so that I can then release this and then as part of gamedev.com, and so that people can build upon it, add new features, or just learn from it. Okay. All right. So that is the entire workflow. It's actually very simple once you've looked at it this way, but trust me, it took me, I'll just show it to you over here. You can see effectively, I spent ages doing lots of different experiments, trying different prompts, trying different things in order to find out what workflow works best. All right. And the whole point of this is to help you skip all these steps and hours or days or weeks of headache so that you can get to the result that you want. Oh, and one more thing. Once you have these images, you can then pop this into a video image generator. You can then do things like ask it to animate a walk cycle. So you can see over here, I managed to get this to do a walk cycle, and you can do it for all of the different facings. And then you can split it up into individual frames and then import it into your game. But I'll save that for a different video. Right now, what we're going to do is that we're going to jump into Codex App, and I'm going to show you step by step every single prompt using this workflow, starting from a reference image all the way to getting to this really fully isometric version that you see over here. What I did was I started off with this male character portrait, and I generated this with Nano Banana Pro, I think, at that time. So I'm just taking an existing asset that I have of my character, and check out my other video if you want to see how I actually vibe coded this entire cutscene system. But the main thing here is that I start off with just this portrait, and then what I did was that I said, use GPT image 1.5 skill to create a full body game sprite version of adventure male.png, which I'm just going to put it up over here so you can see this is the portrait that we have over here. So what happens is that it basically created a full body version, which I will just open up for you here. So you can see this is the full body version based on this portrait that we saw. But yeah, this is a really good full body version of the portrait. And then what I did next is that I said, use the file.ai image to create a sprite radius isometric version that was just generated. And so what this did is that it gave me this version that you see over here, which I think is the same as the one that you see over here. So this is a really good looking sprite already. It's not as high res as this. This is very high resolution, and this is more game-like, and it's also facing southwest in a much better way. All right, so once you have this is where we are, right? We have our anchor image, and then now what we're supposed to do is that we do the 4 directions first, and then we combine both the anchor and the 4 directions to create the diagonals. Okay, so over here you can see I say create a sprite sheet for the cardinal directions northeast, southwest, preserving character consistency as much as possible. And this is the result that you see over here. All right, so you have north, south, east, and west. And this is perfect. So then after that, I said, take this sheet and together with the isometric anchor, use the image generator to create a sprite sheet of the diagonals. And this is what you get. So there you can see, right? You already have everything you need. You have the north, east, southwest, and then you have the northeast, northwest, northeast, southwest, southeast version. And all you need to do now is just to stitch them all together, and you'll be able to get this result. Now, one thing that you will notice is that this is the first version when they stitch everything together, and you have this problem where the heights are not correct. So you can see over here, right? The shoe is not matching the height. You can see here the height of this character on the diagonal is not matching it over here. whereas over here is and the same thing that you have over here. So what you want to do is go through a normalization step, and this is where I made use of my gamedev asset skill. This is a skill that I've been using. If you watch my previous videos, it's just really useful for normalizing images so that everything is the correct frame size and is ready to go into the game. Okay, and so you can see this is the output of the normalized version, and effectively it takes, and you can see all of the heights and the feet are all correctly lined up now. So that's pretty much it. So this is how you can generate isometric sprites in the style of Final Fantasy Tactics or many other isometric style games. So if you found today's video useful, give it a like, hit the subscribe button, and don't forget to turn on notifications so that you'll always be the first to know when new content like this drops. If you haven't seen my previous video where I showcase how to make use of image generation skills as well as video generation to create game assets for your game, using a very similar approach as this, but for platformers, you definitely want to check out this video right over here. All right, till next time, I'll see you.